If you're new to my channel, you're going to understand why my name is Renegade real fast. Because I want to talk to you guys about kind of a difficult topic today. I want to talk to you guys all about good versus bad driving habits, and moreover, learning them. Because I think we're having a problem these days with, well, basically learning how to properly drive. Earlier today, I was watching a video that Casey Butch came out with, and one of the things he mentioned was what driver's ed was like in, where he grew up. And he said that it was a joke. We just drove around a residential area, and it made me start thinking about how people learn and what the learning was like here when I took driver's ed and when I was learning how to drive, and then looking at how the world is today with bad habits and things that people just don't know. Now, for those of you who have been subscribed to me for a while, you'll recognize this as being my 1987 Volvo 245. Let's start with the basics. The car I'm driving right now is rear-wheel drive, has no anti-locking brakes because it was made before anti-locking brakes, and it's a great car. Now, several things that I'm going to bring up. I'm going to use this car as an example because, well, frankly, everyone else has used it as an example to kind of give me a hard time about. So, a lot of the problem I'm noticing today when it comes to driving has to do with ignorance and has to do with basically the fact that our society is crumbling. That is not an anti-Trump comment, so don't go on that horse, okay? This is strictly, there's a problem. I mean, if you want to get in depth with it, I would tell you that we're living in a society where ignorance is not just bliss, but it is praised. We live in a society right now where some woman with a really big ass has more clout, has more social pull than somebody with intelligence. That's not good. But that's a whole nother video maybe down the road. If you want to hear about that, let me know in the comments. There's a lot of ignorance being okay these days, which is a really sad statement. Because in my mind, ignorance isn't always okay. Especially when it's something that involves, heavy machinery. Yes, I would count this as a heavy machine, not just because my Volvo weighs a lot, but because it is a big machine that, if used improperly, could result in death. It's not good. Now, there's obviously things that we can discuss. The lack of turn signals. Not in the car, but the lack of use of them. I mean, why do you need to know where I'm going? That's a whole different thing, but that's just being self-centered. The same with using your cell phone. Where is my cell phone right now? My cell phone is in my pocket. If it wasn't in my pocket, it'd be on the passenger seat. Now, I know I kind of look like a hypocrite right now because I bring up cell phones saying you should not be using your cell phone while you're driving. It is a distraction. It is a hazard. Don't do it. And I do that, and I'm currently driving down the road holding a camera talking to it. There's a difference. I'm paying attention to the road in front of me. I'm not paying attention to the camera, save for a couple quick glances. And should anything happen up ahead of me, I'm dropping the camera. I'm dropping you guys. Because you're not that important. At least not in comparison, But again, the cell phone thing, that is kind of a self-centeredness type issue. That's being self-centered. That's not caring about anybody but yourself. That's not cool. But now we're going to talk about things a little closer to the driver's ed. The reason I bring up my car earlier on was because people have given me a hard time about it, asking me like, well, what are you going to do in the snow? I'm going to drive it. I'm going to drive my car. For whatever reason, people believe that having a rear-wheel drive car is a horrible idea. Should be front-wheel drive or preferably all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, which is not the entire truth. I mean, sure, a four-wheel drive car can give you a better chance of getting somewhere if one of your tires gets stuck in bad traction, but that's one. I mean, if you hit ice, if you hit slick slush, you're just as likely to slide regardless of where the power is going. That's a traction issue. Sure, when I'm driving, I have to be more cautious of my traction having a rear-wheel drive car as I go through a corner, go through a bend, and you know, there might be a hazard that leads to less traction. So I'm cautious and I watch my throttle control and I watch my line as I enter. Not that big of a deal. But how many times have you seen on the news big four-wheel drive truck that's gone barreling through a corner and has lost traction, skidded out, and there's been a big accident? Thinking that you are invincible because you drive a big vehicle, because you have four-wheel drive, is stupid. And it's just a sign of ignorance. You don't know how a vehicle operates. Like, okay, we don't need to break it down to the physics of it all. You know, you don't need to write out the mathematical equation for the physics of traction. But you need to have at least the working knowledge that, like, hey, if I put a four-wheel vehicle on something like ice, which is very slick, there's no traction, or virtually no traction, it doesn't matter that I have four-wheel drive because I will have no traction, and I'm going to slide. The same can be said about anti-locking brakes, because this car was made before anti-locking brakes, therefore it does not have anti-locking brakes. People will tell you that that is unsafe. It just means that I have to manually pump my brake pedal rather than slamming on the brakes and letting my anti-locking brake system take care of it. These are things that we're kind of taught in driver's ed. You know, what do you do if you... I remember distinctly in driver's ed, this road sucks. I remember distinctly in driver's ed discussing anti-locking brakes versus non-anti-locking brakes, what to do if you're in an emergency situation and you don't have anti-locking brakes. I also remember discussing what to do if you end up in a tailspin. If you start fishtailing, what's the proper way to go about it? And how can you lessen your likelihood of having a fishtailing situation? Which is ease on the throttle or no throttle while going through a bend, and don't get back on the throttle until you've straightened out. Now, if you guys hear these tips and you want to know more details about it, let me know down in the comments. Maybe we'll do another video on it later on down the road. Many of you also know my car is a stick shift, which means I manually change the gears. And I've been asked why I want to do so much extra work. But it's not work, at least not really. Like, once you learn, you just kind of do it instinctually. There are plenty of times I don't know what gear I'm in. just because I'm doing it, but I'm not like thinking about it. But people will believe that it takes so much more work, that it's so much more effort, that it's so foolish. That's why manual gearboxes are dying out. You know, your standard commuter car, I'm talking. I mean, okay, why don't the Ferraris have the manual gearbox? Well, because they have the double paddle and double clutch system, which is slightly faster in a gear change. I don't know, personally, a Ferrari's not a Ferrari unless it's got that gated shifter, man. That's the way to go. But your standard commuter car, whoops, stop sign. Your standard commuter car is no longer being made as much with the manual gearbox because people don't want to have to do the work to think. And that just comes from an ignorance place. Now look, I will always say that it's entirely your choice if you drive a manual gearbox or an automatic gearbox. Me being a car guy, I have certain vehicles that in my mind I believe should only come in a manual transmission. My point is more that you can drive whatever you want to drive. Stick, auto, whatever. Even the silly little bump shift thing, you know. That's your flavor, go for it, you know, whatever. But I believe everybody should know how to drive a manual transmission vehicle. If I'm out with a friend and they only drive automatics, they only know how to drive automatics, and they get into my car, let's say there's an emergency, you know, I've been knocked unconscious and I'm bleeding out and I need to get rushed to the hospital. You know, I don't know, I mean, I get abducted, they need to get somewhere, whatever the case may be. If there's an emergency and they need to hop in my car, not a lot of them are going to know how to drive this. I mean, this is a stick shift. It's a lot different than driving an automatic vehicle. And I think that's a real shame that people don't know. Worse, that people don't want to know. And a lot of this goes farther than that. Like, obviously, there are different scenarios we can discuss about the physical driving of a car. You know, like, what do you do if you spin out? What do you do if you're stuck in, like, snow? How do you get yourself out? There's a lot of the stuff that people don't know. But then there's also the upkeep and the emergency situations of a vehicle that people don't know. It is surprising how many people have no idea what to do if they get a flat tire. I know somebody right now is looking at this and going, oh, flat tire, you call AAA, that's what you do. Alright, maybe I'm too old school, but I think it's foolish to call AAA for a flat tire. Again, society is now leading to the way that, you know, car manufacturers are going, because you have to pay for a spare tire. But if you have a spare tire, which is always a great idea to have, the proper thing to do, if you have a flat tire, is to get out and change your tire. Even if it's just a donut, get a tire on so you can get moving again. What do you do if your car battery's dead? Oh, call AAA. What about jumping your car? Because you can jump start your car to get it moving again. These are the things that, in my mind, are an important part of driving. Knowing how to take care of situations as they arise. Whether it be the physical, you know, handling, the physical manipulation of your vehicle, physical operation of your vehicle, I should say, or whether it be handling an emergency situation. These are important things. And as they're being forgotten about, we're having more issues with people not learning more, which is leading to people learning how to operate and be a car, or be a vehicle owner less and less as time goes by. And it is my belief that this is going to lead to a dangerous situation eventually, because people aren't going to know how to do things that they should. Now, I was thinking back to when I was in high school and we took driver's ed, which was the health quarter of junior year. And all it was getting ready for the written exam. I mean, we did take the written exam also, which gave us a voucher to get our permit, but the stuff that we learned was just stupid. It was, I mean, alright, there was the basic rules that you need to know. You know, stop sign means stop. You know, red means stop. Green means go. You know, that was really like it. I mean, to give you an example, I can't remember some of the dumb questions that were on the car driving exam, but the motorcycle driving exam was slightly better. But there were questions on it like, you're driving down the road and there's a sandbank on the right-hand side of the road. Which section of the road is sand going to collect on? The right, the left, or the center? Wow. Really? But then we go on to, you know, you hit the required birthday or whatever, and you then went and you got your permit, and then you did some driving, and then you took your driver's exam, and it wasn't even that we drove around in a residential area with no highway. We drove around in an area that had no traffic. Like none. It wasn't, I mean, it was roads, but it was in like this compound. You know, it was in this compound that there was nothing. It's hardly an example of driving. But then people take the fact that they just got their driver's exam because they can physically operate a vehicle in a closed course setting. And now they're going to hit the road. Hopefully they learn before taking the exam how to actually operate a vehicle. But there's so many things that are involved that I know they didn't learn. But why learn past that? I got the exam. I don't need, you know, I got my license. I don't need to learn anymore. No, I'm good. Things like this, man, it's just, it leads to bad habits, bad problems, and a danger for a lot of drivers. If drivers don't want to learn, like, we're going to have issues, basically. But this is a starting point for a conversation. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Because personally, I believe that no matter where you are, your driving exam should involve actual road driving with traffic, with low speed maneuvers, with high speed maneuvers, and just an overall idea of how to drive and operate said vehicle. I also, of course, think you should have to change a tire and jump start a car, because you never know when situations like that will come up, and it's a very important thing to know how to do. Maybe I'm just old school. I don't know. But guys, that's going to do it for me for today. I hope you all have enjoyed this. I hope it raises some questions. Maybe things like, you know, what do I know how to do? What don't I know how to do? What should I learn? What should I teach somebody? Maybe you're an adult and you will soon have a child learning to drive. Terrifying idea, isn't it? Ew. Well, I really want this to be a starting point of a conversation. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your questions. You know, and maybe down the road we can have more of these, and we can kind of get into a little more about things people should know how to do, and even some how-tos on certain things, huh? Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do it for me. Get the hell out of that car's way. If you've just recently found me, maybe this is the first video you're watching, hi, thank you, welcome. Feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload a new video. And until the next time, y'all keep rocking and rolling. I'm going to keep taking care of business. I'll see you in the next one.